What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston breakdown episode. My name's Big Cam, and today we are talking about The Penguin, episode 8, the finale, Great or Little Thing. But this episode is the longest episode of the series, an hour and 8 minutes, and we're coming off of last episode. Sofia's got Oz's mom, but Oz killed Sal. And Sal went out. Did Oz kill Sal? As far as everyone else knows. But Sal really had a heart attack, and Oz was pissed about that. So even when Oz wins, he kind of loses, you know? It's very sad. But we also saw Sofia blow up Oz's operation at the end of last episode, and Oz got knocked out by the drophead cops. Hey, Sofia wants to see you. But we also didn't find out last episode what happened to Victor? Where did he go? So we get all these answers. But we open this episode on Julian Rush talking to Francis, and he is in the middle of an interrogation with the red light and trying to find out information about Francis's past and Oz's past, and it gets dark real quick. But we see a young Francis in the mirror, and she's talking to Rex. But the young Francis in the mirror, right, so we know this is a flashback because we saw young Francis, but because it's Julian interrogating older Francis, it's actually the older version of Oz's mom in that same purple dress and smoking the cigarette, just like the younger version of his mom was, but now it's a memory. And I thought that was just a really nice detail to be like, okay, this isn't real, but it's also like very real to Oz and very real to Francis and real memories that haunt them. And we find out that Francis, when she's talking to Rex Calabrese, she knows that Oz was with, right, just from the flashlight he had in his pocket, knows that he was with his brothers playing flashlight tag down in those tunnels. And that the rain came and killed those boys. And she knows that Oz knew the entire time. And this is what he wanted, Rex. He wanted me all to himself, right? Like, and I don't think that's necessarily true, but it's not necessarily not true either. She says to Rex, I got the devil living in my house with me. What am I supposed to do? And Rex goes, hey, listen, in my line of work, Oz could be great. Or maybe not. Maybe you gotta let him go. And she's like, and you'd help me with something like that? And now we see that night that Oz dropped food at the door and his mom came out in the purple dress and they went dancing. Now we see that dance and that whole moment from Francis's perspective and what the mom was thinking about. Because we just saw it from Oz's perspective. He just wanted to take care of her, and he's like, Mom, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna prove it to you. You know, and that young version of Oz is so good. The kid that played young Oz literally is an all-time Oz Colin Ferrell impersonator. Like, he's perfect. But we actually find out that Francis and Rex had actually talked to each other, and Rex was there that night that they went dancing. She goes, Rex is going to drive you home later. So the original plan was for Rex to drive Oz home and probably kill him, you know, and Oz as a child would have died, but Francis somehow during that evening, young Oz convinced her to not kill him, but yet she's held this like resentment her entire life to Oz, right? So she kind of treats him terrible, but he's the only boy she has left, so she still loves him, but like she treats him terrible first and then gives him just a little bit of love to help him stick around, but then hates him again to make him this hard monster of a man. And this episode in particular, you really start to see how broken of a human Oz is. But then we cut to heavy notes on, I think it's even strings. Right, like we get that Penguin theme song from Mick Giacchino. And over the title card, the Penguin title card pops up. And then we cut to Vic pulling up to the site of the bomb and seeing the smoke come up. And they're on like the highway right outside of where it happened. And Vic actually brought all of the crew. in all of the mobs and everyone from the last episode. So everyone came for Oz, but once they saw that it was exploded and all gone, they were like, hey man, we're here for the product, not for Oz. And Vic passionately calls them all cowards for wanting to leave, and the Triads is like, this man put us in a dangerous situation. Vic's like, you fucking pussies, and the Sullivans go, what the fuck you just called me? I am not a coward, right? Like puts a gun to Vic's head, and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? What about Oz? And they're like, what about Oz? And the second-hand man to the Triads, to Zhao, Link, comes over and checks Vic with a gut punch and goes, hey, listen, know your place or you're gonna catch a bullet, right? So I think Link was actually helping Vic here, because Link is also the number 2 of the boss and knows what it's like to be treated like shit and not be treated like you're a somebody and like you're a nobody and you're just help. So he didn't want to see Vic here, where he's got the right intentions, but he's, you know, going to catch a bullet for talking shit to, you know, to all these people, even though he was right. But Vic goes into the bomb to get a closer look to see if he can find Oz, and we see the guy that cut off the lights to give Oz a chance back in the last episode to get away and kill Sal Maroni. And the guy's like, he's like, where's Oz? Oh, I don't know. And he's like, but where's Oz? And then we cut over to Sofia, and it starts in a black room, and it's just Oz waking up, and she stands him up in a chair, and he is duct taped to a chair with a towel or a sock stuffed in his mouth, and he's gagged, and he's being tortured, and she's also got his mom over there tied up. But Sofia's got this amazing outfit on, this black outfit with the red bottom shoes, with the scarf that's attached to the dress, the red, oh, she looks so good. The costume department really crushed it all season. So phenomenal. This part I thought was funny. Sofia starts to tell a story about birds, but it's actually, you know, a misdirected, and she's actually telling a story about Oz and his mother and like his brothers and the kids, and how he kind of pushed the birds out of the nest, and so he could survive, and the mama bird came back and didn't even look for her dead baby, just started feeding the one that was still there, you know. And it's like a dark story, but it's all, you know, just a figurative story. And she takes the gag out of Oz's mouth, and he goes, what the fuck are you talking about, birds? You know, like, so Sofia starts to threaten Francis by cutting off her finger, and she's like, say it to her, Oz. Tell her the truth. Tell her what you did to your brothers. So now Sofia knows, and Oz knows, and Francis knows what he did, and he just won't say it. So like, he's willing to let his mother lose a finger instead of just telling her the truth. And finally she goes, I know already. And he's like, what are you talking about, Ma? You're confused. What are you guys making her think? When clearly she has never thought more straight in her life at this current moment. And she goes, I know what you did to Jack and Benny. I've always hated you, and I always have, for what you did to them. And then she's like, Sofia's standing there like, you were going to let me cut it off, weren't you? Jesus, you're a fucking crazy man. And I think this says a lot about the relationship between Oz and his mom, is that he loves his mom. He'll do anything for his mom. But just because he wants his mom to show him some kind of love and affection, like, we still don't know how Oz got those scars on his face. That could have just been his mom beating him as a child or something. Like, we really don't know. But Oz is like, listen, just to see his mom in pain a little bit for something that, like, I don't know, he's just a sick puppy. He's like, listen, I'll watch her be in pain and then come over to her after and be like, oh, Ma, I'll help you, I'll protect you. But really deep down, he's like, he likes seeing people in pain, I think. He's a dark fuck. He's a sick fuck. As much as I loved Oz throughout this series and all the videos, I say how much I love Oz, but really I just love his voice and just the line deliveries, and the writing in this show was so phenomenal. But this episode in particular really makes you not love Oz so much. But Francis stands up and walks over to Oz and says, you didn't have to take them from me. I had enough love for all of yous. You're a disappointment. I should have let Rex kill you when I had a chance. And she grabs a bottle and breaks it and stabs Oz in the gut. And you're like, what? But I have a clip of this, so let me see the betrayal of Francis stabbing Oz in the gut. And then Oz springs into action because something happens to his mom. But let's see the clip.
I should have let Rex kill you when I had the chance. Is the devil? You're the goddamn devil.
Ma.
Jack. Benny. My babies. I'm sorry.
Stop him!
Well, come on. I got you. I got you.
Oh my god. So you can see Oz's mom there is like, you know, sees her two dead sons dripping wet, like, oh, such a terrible moment, but she's clearly just seeing this, and she's like so sad seeing her dead boys that you can see her face. She's like almost gonna throw up. She's so sad. She's like I was like, oh my god, she's about to throw up on the floor, and she just passes out and hits her head hard. I'm like, damn, this actress hit the ground hard as fuck. But then Oz, right, sees his mom fall, and this is all he needs. He could have broken out this entire time, and the only thing that gives him the strength to be able to break the chair and break out and, you know, spring into action is because his mom's in danger, and he thinks his mom's, you know, dead or passed out or something. And he's like, ah, ma! Breaks out of the chair. And then we get this great moment of him grabbing a piece of the chair, stabbing a guy, taking his gun, shooting him, shooting the other guy, shooting at Julian and Sofia as they duck and cover. And then he walks out the front door with his mom on his shoulder. The drop head cop is doing drops in the middle of getting high. Oz shoots him through the back of the head. And we get a great shot of that. And then he steals his car and gets away. And we see Sofia outside like shooting at him as he gets away. And, you know, car drifts around the corner. I was like, damn, Colin Ferrell got out of there in a hurry. But Oz gets his mom over to the hospital. He steals a phone. He calls Vic. Vic comes to find Oz giving himself staples in a closet. But Oz tells Vic that Sofia stabbed him, even though it was his mom. So he's still like, he's a liar. And he's still like, you know, protecting his mom from anyone else to think that she's not the best, you know, like even maybe in his own head, Sofia stabbed him, and he's like, no, my mom would never, even though his mom definitely stabbed him and said a whole bunch of sad things to him. But Victor believes in Oz, and he says a whole lot of things, like he's like, it's you can do this, you know, you gotta get dressed and go be you. And Oz is like, you practice that? And Vic's like, fuck you. And he goes, nah, it was good. You gotta pronunciate more with your gut, you know? And then Oz says to Vic, my ma will never look at me again unless I get this done. And then we cut to Sofia saying she's leaving Gotham, but she offers all the other gangs her house and all of her territories for Oz. And Link, the second-hand man of the Triads, questions this and goes, nah, this is a lie. Why would she do this? Why would you give us your house and your property? And she's like, because I can, right? So she doesn't give like a real response. But I love how Sophia's sitting there at the table. She's eating olives as she's just talking. So after this meeting with Sofia and the other bosses, we get to see Link call Victor. And Vic is outside the courthouse waiting for Oz, as Oz in the next scene goes into the courthouse to talk to Councilman Haiti. But Link calls Victor and is like, yo, we need to do something. You were right. So just from this, I was like, I think Link's a good guy, but we'll see what happens in a few minutes. Oz goes in and talks to Councilman Haiti, and he's in the judge's chair. He smacks the gavel, and he starts selling Councilman Haiti that this whole thing was Sofia, and that Sal Maroni was selling Bliss, and this is a Maroni's versus Falcone beef. And he goes, hey, listen, you could be the hero. Councilman Haiti, the man that turned on the lights in Crown Point, and I'll give you a villain, Sofia, the hangman. It looks like the hangman went on a murder-killing spree when she got out of Arkham. And Councilman Haiti kind of likes the idea that Oz is selling him and goes, and in for exchange, what do you want? And Oz is like, I want to feel welcome in a place like this. You know, maybe even meet someone like Bella Real. And Haiti's like, listen, she's going to come after you and they're going to subpoena you and all that kind of thing. So looks at his outfit and just like, Oz in this crispy, clean courthouse, and we've seen Oz in sewers and stuff in like suits. So we're like, we thought Oz was clean all season, but this episode he's actually with, you know, the higher ups, the rich people in a courthouse with Councilman Haiti, and he's like in this kind of dirtier outfit for Oz, and he's like, listen, you gotta be looks at his outfit and goes, clean, and he goes, squeaky clean, pal. You know, so Oz finally gets his pal here in Councilman Haiti, but I also have a clip of what he says to Councilman Haiti.
They're gonna find little pieces of Sofia's G-Wagon and a bunch of dead Falcons and Maronis, including Salvatore himself. And this looks like an unhinged, angry broad got out of the loony bin and went on a fucking killing spree. The councilman, look, you got an opportunity here. Give the people someone to hate and someone to love. Sebastian Haiti. That's the guy who turned the lights back on in Crown Point. Locked up the last Falcone end of the fucking drug war that's plagued these city streets for decades. How does that sound?
Sounds nice.
Nice? You fucking piece of shit. That's the kind of win that you can ride all the way to the top, Councilman.
And in return?
In return? Might be good to feel welcome in a place like this for a change. You know, meet some of those friends you got. Hell, maybe one of these days we'll bump into Bella Real. You know?
Real, she's forming a commission, anti-corruption. They're going after cops, city officials.
Good.
And they have a list of Carmine's associates. They're gonna subpoena you. You gotta look clean.
As a fucking whistle. Pal.
Oz is real good, man. He can spin anything into what he needs it to be, right? And that little silver tongue of his can always talk his way out of something. But right, so Oz now has a friend in Councilman Haiti, and now they're pals, just like earlier in the season. He wrote that letter, let's be pals. So, and then Oz on his way out, right, he said he mentioned Bella Real. We see Bella Real, and Oz sees her up from a distance, and she has a sling on her arm. So this is clearly still after she was, what, shot in that Batman movie, right? So she's now mayoral-elect Bella Real, and she is shot in the shoulder. Oz walks out of the courthouse and sees Link in the triads, and yeah, so I guess Link wasn't with Victor, but he takes Oz with Zhao, and Zhao calls Sofia and says, hey, where do you want him? And she says, meet me at the airport hangar, and Sofia proceeds to double-cross Zhao, because she had promised anyone that brings her, the Penguin, can get her house and her territories, and she now turns around and burns down the entire Falcone mansion with cigarettes, right? So she's lighting, she's got 3 in her mouth. She lights one, throws one, starts a fire, lights one, throws one, starts a fire, lights the last one, throws it, starts a fire. And the last thing we see her burn is the family portrait with Mark Strong's Carmine Falcone, and burns everything to the ground. Everything that was Falcone and Maroni has now been burned to the ground. So Sofia goes to the airport, and Zhao goes, will you end him here, or will you see if the Penguin can fly and push him out over the Atlantic? And at this moment we think, oh my god, Sofia's gonna kill Oz, or Sofia's gonna take Oz, and everything seems like it's going to work out, but then all of a sudden Oz kind of grins and smiles, and Sofia looks at Zhao and goes, Zhao, no! And Link pulls out a gun and shoots Zhao, and shoots Zhao's men, shoots Sofia's men, and now Sofia's left there standing by herself. Vic takes the gun out of her hand. Link is there is now the head of the triads, and now taking out Zhao. Oh my god, right? So now Oz is on top with Link and the triads, and really has taken out all the Falcones and the Maronis. This is crazy. And Oz says, let's go for a drive one last time, right? So because he was her driver, he takes her on a ride one more time, drives her, and he takes her down to like this abandoned little point, you know, out on like the corner, you know, like over by the water. And Sofia says to Oz, what did you say to Link to get him to turn? And he says, I gave him a shot, a chance to be somebody. He's tired of being overlooked. And then we get, as Oz and Sofia are talking, we see a bunch of the number 2s from the bosses of the mom families taking out the bosses, right? So all the number 2s, all the Victors, all the Links are now taking over the controls of the Sullivans, of all the other mobs we had seen. The Low Boys, which was the girls, the other mobs, the black dudes. All of them get wiped out. So now it's all the number 2s are going to be the heads of the mob families, all under Oz. So this is how I'm thinking, and I'm like, Oz is now the new kingpin of Gotham, and now all of these gangs that we had just met, all of the number 2s are going to be in charge. So maybe all these people will be in the Batman Part 2, or maybe the Penguin Season 2, but all I know is this show leads directly into the Batman Part 2, and I am ecstatic to see where this goes. But Sofia says to Oz, Oswald Cobb, man of the people. And he's like, you're goddamn right. And she's like, that's what you need to believe, huh? And then she goes, how's your mom? Tell her you love her yet. And he goes, you are never gonna find peace, a sick fuck like you. You're going to hell. And she goes, I'll save you a seat. And she looks off into the lights and closes her eyes. And we hear Oz cock the gun, and we think, you know, as she closes her eyes and she's like seeing the light, we think Oz is about to kill her. And then she turns around and there's a spotlight from a helicopter. Oz is gone. The cops show up and arrest Sofia. She's going back to Arkham for something she didn't really do, but at least this time she did blow up Arkham, or blow up the city. So at least this time she's going into Arkham for something that she did have a hand in. She did kill a whole bunch of people too. But the first time, when she was framed as the Hangman, all that shit was Carmine. So you feel bad for her for that time. This time, she kind of is the bad guy, even though the Penguin is worse. But I have a clip here of Sofia having her last conversation with Oz before she gets arrested.
How's your mom? Has she told you she loves you yet?
You're never gonna find peace. You know that? Sick fuck like you.
On the ground! Hands behind your back! Now! Get her up.
Damn, so we see Chief Bach come up and arrest her, and she's going back to Arkham. And that is one thing I really, really hoped we got in this show, was more connections to the Batman, right? Like, we saw a flashback, we saw Kenzie, but Kenzie also got arrested or killed at the end of the Batman. Selina Kyle tried to push him off the edge, right? So he could be dead, but, you know, I was hoping we got to see, you know, a Jim Gordon, you know, or some more of the Gotham PD, you know, or something like that, other than just Chief Bach. But yeah, Sofia's going back to Arkham. Even that little red dress, that little poofy red coat she had on, even that looks great as she's in this cold wilderness of Gotham as she's going back to jail. Ooh, fucking Oz. But then we see Oz go back to the hospital and find out that his mother has had a serious stroke. And he gets all mad at the nurse and he goes, go get the fucking real doctor. You don't know what you're talking about. And then he's like talking to his mom. He's like, come on, doll, look at me. I did it. I took it all from those pricks. I'm a fucking king. And he's like, Ma, tell me you're proud of me. One time, I did it all for you. God. And he's like holding his mom's hand. And Oz is like, you know, really losing it and breaking down at this point. And Vic comes over and puts a hand on Oz's back. And he's like, just, you know, there for him. And just always been there for him. So then we cut to Oz and Vic sitting on a bench. Just like at the end of episode 1 where they were getting slush puppies and being friends. And this is the moment where Oz becomes the worst individual you've ever seen in your entire life, and you become to hate him instead of love him, because him and Victor sitting on this bench, and Vic's like, hey, you're like family to me, you know, you're like a genuine family to me, and thank you for taking a chance on me and taking me in. And Oz is like, you know, I couldn't have done this without you, kid. And because Vic calls Oz his family, Oz goes, fuck Vic. You and me, that's all it is. That's all I got left. It's good that we met, huh? You saw me at my lowest with my ma. You've been with me through every step of the way. But it's too much to have a family. It makes you weak. And Oz starts to, he has his arm around Vic, kind of hugging him. And he kind of starts to choke him and just squeeze the life out of Vic. And poor Vic is like brutally choking out and dying in Oz's arms right here. Oz says to Vic as he's killing him and dying, he goes, "You're a good man with a good heart. It wasn't for nothing." He takes the money out of Vic's wallet, right? What a piece of shit. He takes every last cent he can get. He's greedy. Takes the money out of his wallet. Vic's dead. He's not going to be needing it. But still, come on, man. Takes his ID out of his wallet. Throws the ID in the water. So now nobody's going to care about this boy with no family from Crown Point. Nobody's going to care who killed this kid and left him by a bench, you know, by the water in like a park or something. Like, come on. Oz is terrible for doing this. And just leaves Vic's body on the ground and just walks away. And it couldn't be any more worse. And Oz couldn't be any more worse of a human and brutal and cruel. And just the look on Oz's face at the end of this clip says it all, right? Like, he looks like a penguin at this point, right? Like, he almost looks like Danny DeVito's penguin at the end. Like, how sick and twisted and, you know, almost like, you know, to the point where he's biting off hands and eating fish raw, you know, like, yeah, it reminds me a lot of that penguin. But here's the clip of poor Victor Aguilar having his last moments with Oz.
You're family to me.
Fuck, Vic. You and me. That's all that's left. It's good that we met. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see me at my lowest, all this shit with my mom by my side every fucking step. I can't bring you with me this time.
What do you mean?
I mean, that's the thing about family.
Oz, it's your strength. Oz, when it drives you.
Fuck if it don't make you weak.
Too much. Please.
Too fucking much.
I'm sorry. You're a good man, Vic. You got a good heart.
It wasn't for nothing.
Oh, that just look on his face at the end. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Oz, you fucking sick fuck. I can't believe he did that. You know, like Sofia and Arkham, we could have had Vic and Oz, you know, as Vic's his number 2 and going into the next movie. And instead, Oz is now a broken man with no family. And, you know, he might be rich, he might be the top of the food chain for the criminals of Gotham. But, you know, he's so ruthless and such a killer because he was a killer when he killed his brothers when he was a kid. You know, he killed anybody in his way. He killed all those guys to cover his own ass earlier this season. But now, you know, the guy that's been with him the whole fucking time, he just called you his family. Like, Vic won't do anything to betray you. And you kill him because family makes you weak? Crazy, man. I'm so upset with Oz. And, oh, I'll talk about it more at the end. But just to finish out this episode, we cut to Sofia and Arkham. And Julian took his old job as a doctor in Arkham again. Probably just to see Sofia. He's got this weird thing with her. But, you know, maybe Julian, Dr. Rush becomes a bigger threat in maybe like a Scarecrow type of deal in future movie or a future season of The Penguin 2. But we see him give a letter to her and says it's from Selina Kyle, your half-sister. So, if you guys don't know, that is Zoe Kravitz from the Batman movie. And she is a half-sister, because Carmine was her father. So she is half-sisters with the Hangman, Sofia Falcone, and she still sends her a letter after everything that's happened. So I thought Selina left, so she's still in Gotham somehow? That's kind of cool. So maybe it's going to be Selina and the Hangman kind of teaming up together to go against the Penguin, and then the Batman's got to stop them before they kill each other? I don't know. That doesn't sound quite right, but, you know, I'd still be interested to see it. And as Sofia looks at her letter, the theme music of the, I believe it was like the Bat and the Cat love song music, but also kind of just Selena Kyle's Catwoman music, that plays while she looks at the little letter from her. But then we cut to Oz, and he now has a purple Rolls Royce, which, if you don't know, is a much more expensive car than a Maserati. Way more expensive, and it's still purple and custom, so Oz now has his top hat and cane, and we see him go to the La Couronne building, a penthouse that Oz is living in. He has that cane and top hat like I was saying. And he goes into a room, and he still has his mother alive in a hospital bed. And she is crying, and he's like, at least got her overlooking the city. But I think she's really crying here because she didn't want to live as a vegetable, right? She's probably a little part of her is proud of him that he got to the penthouse and he is the top of the food chain and whatever. But she had also said he's a disappointment, you're the devil, you stabbed him, right? Like, at that point, I think she was completely ready for Oz to die and herself to die. You know, when she fainted there, I think she was ready to go. But now Oz is just keeping her alive as a vegetable, which is exactly what she didn't want. And she's never given Oz what he wanted, so I think he's just like purposefully torturing his mother by keeping her alive. And then clearly he's losing it a little bit because in the other room we see Eve in the same exact purple dress that his mother was wearing, smoking a cigarette like his mom with like the little stick. And yeah, it's really sad, but it's so weird to see Eve in this purple dress, and he's like, tell me you love me. Tell me I did good. And she goes, my big boy is Gotham's kingpin. Gotham's yours now. Nobody can take it from you. And we pull back as they dance. And so Oz did love Eve, I think, as a lover. But now at this point, you know, Eve's still around. But Oz is paying her just to be, do an impersonation of his mother, as his mother's dying in the other room and just getting kept alive by machines. Like, oof, like this is dark and crazy and weird. But we pull out and we pull back out the window as If This Is Goodbye by Margaret Whiting plays, and we pull back to see that the outskirts of the penthouse is out on the outskirts of Gotham, but it has a nice view of Gotham City. But we see the building itself is kind of in ruins. It's not in the best condition. Some of the railings on the side of the building are falling apart, and you know, so he does have the skyline, does have a good place, but it's not necessarily the most rich, nicest place. It's not the nicest place in Gotham, you know what I mean? It's just nicest place he could probably find to be able to still have a Rolls Royce and look the part, and also feel the part, but he still kind of seems like he's still in Crown Point, you know, like he hasn't really gotten out of the poorer section of Gotham. But we pull back from them dancing, and we pull back out the window, and we see the bat signal pop on in the sky. It wasn't already on. We see the moment it turns on. So who turns this on? Probably Jim Gordon. But we see that Gotham is now really some stuff's going wrong, enough so that the bat signal has to be signaled again. So maybe that explains why he hasn't been in this show the entire time, is that he was waiting for the bat signal and there was no signal, so no need for him to be there. Or maybe he was just, you know, he does say in the movie, Gotham's a big city, I can't be everywhere at once, so, you know, there's shit going on with the Falcones and the Penguin. Maybe he's just off handling some other shit that we're going to see in Batman Part 2. Maybe he's handling somebody like, I don't know, the Riddler broke out with the Joker, or maybe Dr. Freeze is freezing the frozen city. I don't know. I would love to see these type of things in the Batman Part 2. Comment below, who do you think is going to be in the Batman Part 2? All I know is the bat signal, the end of this show. I really loved this show. I almost loved this show more than the Batman Part 1. Mostly just because of how much longer we get to live in Gotham, in this city. And it's so friggin' epic. And the people, and the Penguin, and Sofia, and Sal was Clancy Brown. And there was so many good people and characters in this show. The costume department killed it. The makeup department, Oz's makeup, that last shot of him with Vic, and he's like, literally looks like a penguin. great visual effects, but Oz is a terrible human being, and he's praying in this picture that I do not find him for what he did to my boy Victor. Renzi Feliz as Victor, you were the fucking man. I can't wait to see the career that you will go on to have after this. You know, you had a career before this. I believe you were in the TV show The Runaways, the Marvel TV show, so now you're a full HBO regular and a star in The Penguin. So shout out to you, man. I can't wait to see you be Miles Morales or something in the future. I think he's a phenomenal actor, and he's going to do big things, and I can't wait to see what. But comment below your thoughts on the Penguin as a whole. Where do you think the Batman was? And where do you think the Batman 2 will take us? Where do you think the Penguin's character, do you think he's going to be the big bad for the Batman Part 2? Or is he just going to kind of be an existing character like he was in the first movie? I think both of those are possibilities that could be true. But I think the credits rolled, and the Penguin overall, I would give a 9 out of 10 for me. The only thing it's missing is a little bit more tie-ins to the Batman. And, you know, like a Jim Gordon, Jeffrey Wright, like a, you know, an Alfred maybe, you know, maybe a Bruce Wayne cameo or a Batman cameo in this would have been cool, or even a mention would have been cool. You know, just to be like, what is Bruce Wayne doing through this whole series? You know, would have tied it in just that much more, and it would have made it a 10 out of 10 for me. But a 9 out of 10 is still a phenomenal score. So I really, really loved this show, and I'm so pissed that Oz killed Vic. I mean, if everyone's gonna live, you know, the main 3 are gonna live, but it's really not just 2. And I mean, if his mom is still alive and in critical condition, he could have kept Vic alive. No, like, so at least we still have Eve, Francis kinda alive, and Sofia is now in Arkham with Dr. Rush. So like, there's still some pieces that could really be interesting in the future. I don't know if I would rather see this all play out in the Batman Part 2 and let Sofia and Oz be big characters in that movie, or if let that movie happen and some more things happen in that movie that creates a season 2 for the Penguin, and we get Oz and Sofia going back at it head to head all over again. But that time, right, if we see a season 2 of the show and there's no Victor, I don't know if I'm going to love it as much as I do. You know what I mean? Like, heartbreaking stuff. But we also have people like Link and all those other number 2s that took over the mob. So we don't know where the future is going to head for this, but I am fascinated to see where it goes and where we're going to be next. Stay tuned for the trailer breakdowns and reactions for Captain America 4, Brave New World, and the Thunderbolts coming out tomorrow. Movie reviews the rest of the week, so stay tuned, y'all. And I guess we'll be waiting until the next TV show. Comment below if you want to see me break down Dune Prophecy coming out in a couple weeks in November. But until December, I guess, is the next Marvel show or Star Wars or DC show. And there are going to be 2 animation shows in December and 1 live-action Star Wars, so maybe I'll cover that. But I don't know, man. We're closing out 2024 here, so I'll see you guys in 2025 with some more epic breakdowns with, you know, shows like Daredevil Born Again and, you know, tons of stuff coming in 2025. So if you guys want to support the channel more and support me, the best way to do that is by liking this video, subscribing if you're new, hitting that bell so you don't miss future videos. If you'd like to follow my Letterboxd or my other social medias, links for all those down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace.